Welcome everybody to Five Flags Speedway. Welcome to the Full Send Racing Association presenting the Full Send Racing Series with the Xfinity cars. It is the Five Flags Clash here tonight. And boy oh boy, what an evening that we have in store. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Thanks everyone so much for joining. Hopefully everyone's doing well. If you see the trees flickering in the background, no you don't. That is apparently a very unrelated bug, so that will be probably forwarded to RSing at some point. But hopefully everyone is doing well as we have about 3 minutes left in the practice session. So still a little bit of time to see everyone make their laps around this very, very small circuit. What a circuit to decide as well. A circuit with an actual pit road, which I think is probably the best option in the case of having a clash at any location, really. Not insanely tight, room for side-by-side, and a little bit of banking, since that never really hurt anybody. We're taking a look right now at, take a look at the, wow. Well, maybe not the best timing, but the 101, I have to say, absolute props to the chrome number on the side. That is absolutely, I think that's a full chrome number. That is, I've seen chrome numbers before. That is something that I have genuinely never seen before. I think I'm pretty sure it's entirely chrome. Wow, is all I have to say. And let's get the graphics up on screen so we see who these drivers are, what these paint schemes look like as well for tonight's event. So everyone's doing just a little bit of practicing. Of course, the 28 of Tony Brent currently is the top, sitting at the top of the timing charts right now. About a minute and a half left. He's currently sitting on the inside wall right now. A lot of really, really good paint schemes. Ooh, as Brian Johnson on the inside lane nearly sees himself in the door of Tony Brent. Same with the 46. That is Jared Claude. In fact, while we still have a little bit of time up, let's get the timing tower up. That is, if it decides to cooperate. That would be nice. There we go. So the moment 16 cars have set a lap. Not the official first race of the season. No points will count. And we are going to have a couple heats as well. Should be about 3 heats. 4 will advance to the consolation from the heat races. Or that's the consolation. Let me try that one more time because it has been quite some time since I've seen heat races. But 2 heats actually will be happening, it seems, for the moment. We'll see how things go. At least it was planned. 4 will advance from each heat. 1 consolation race where 4 will advance from that, which would end up with 12 drivers in total. At the moment, that could be a change. It could be 13 cars for the future, so we'll see how things fare. But we will keep everyone up to date with who advances from what, when, and why. I was about to say, let's take a ride on board to see how everyone will take to the track, but qualifying is up next. So So we will see how things go as the session switches over. We're going to be racing under the lights here, so the cooler temperatures will matter, of course. Drivers do have one extra set of tires available to them if they choose to use said extra set of tires, but considering that the heats and the consolation are both 25 laps, it's not necessarily going to matter too much, but of course the drivers will always know something that I do not, in terms of what they are experiencing on the track. Technically the 88 Micro Center. I believe Micro Center's... that's a throwback scheme, and that's still a company that I somehow, for some reason, don't have in my location. Other than that, hopefully everyone is doing well. We'll see what the times are as everyone comes across the line. That time will not count for the 88 of Telenik, I believe that is how it's pronounced. Ah, I was close. Might be Telemake. Might be Telemeek. Not sure. Pronunciations are hard today. Well, we'll see if the time counts for the 88. Does that count? It does not. Even though this is a short track and it's hypothetically a, well, you just turn left, not necessarily the case. There is a lot that goes into it. This small banking too. You see the double zero of Andrew Littman go up to seventh place for the moment. Wonderful blue and white paint scheme here. Genuinely unsure of what's happening. I might have to solve that in a few moments. After qualifying, Littman does not improve on his lap time enough. His last lap time, well, for comparison, 0.05 of a second slower. Taking it nice and easy through turns 3 and 4. He'll come across the start finish line to, I believe, start his first lap. Actually, that's completing his second lap. No lap time at the line, oddly enough, so I believe this will be his last attempt. A lot of fantastic use of chrome. But where do you guys get your paint schemes? That's my second question. Jonathan Burt, does he set a time? He does not. Ah, correction, he does. Third place on the timing sheets. Brian Lynch, I believe, just finished his lap time. He'll be 14th. Bill Dart, the third to last driver that will be setting a lap time at the moment. Crosses the start-finish line. Does he go out the timing charts? Yes, 13th. He'll have one more attempt if he does choose so. It's definitely not laying up. Slides up a little bit in turns 3 and 4. Keeps it under control. Does he keep it off the wall? No, I saw it even from this angle. It's not enough to improve. Still a wonderful attempt regardless. Actually, correction. I thought everybody was going to be done. Everyone was just kind of sitting back and waiting. So right now, one more driver has yet to set a lap time. This is the 34 of Michael Thorpe Jr. He goes up to 11th in the time standings. Will he improve is the important question. Time is at the bottom of the screen. We'll see if he does improve. Time to beat .214. Crosses the start-finish line. 2:85 is his previous lap. So that is qualifying over for a lot of these drivers. You see what the, well, I was going to say, you see what the starting order is on the left-hand side of your screen. Correction, that is not the case. I forgot they're heats. If I remember correctly, there's two ways that the heats could go. It could be someone starting first. It could be like inside. Basically, the even numbers will be starting in heat 1, heat 2, technically. Even numbers will be starting in heat 2. Odd numbers will be starting in heat 1, but that could be subject to change. Who knows? We'll find out when we get to it. Of course, all in good fun. Again, no points on the line for tonight's event. So, basically, no pressure for a lot of these drivers. No risk involved whatsoever. As we'll throw it to a little bit of B-roll as we figure out why the trees have decide to spontaneously phase out of existence in the meantime. But regardless, hopefully everyone is doing well tonight. Again, 2 25-lap heats as of right now are on tap, depending on how things are scheduled in the racing system. So far, it looks like we will be having our first heat taking place momentarily. Heat 1 is currently gridding, and we'll get to that in just a few moments' time. As the sun has set just a little bit more, race control is on the horn to all of the drivers. We'll take a look and see which drivers will be starting where in tonight's heat, as we will bring it back to you right here, right now, tonight. So you see the starting order on the left-hand side of your screen. Our de facto starting grid graphic works in both instances in terms of not only showing you where everybody is, where your favorite driver is, or maybe your teammate if you probably happen to unfortunately wreck out in the race. We'll see, of course, how things fare and how chaotic things will get. Works in providing wonderful, wonderful information to everybody. So Corey Moore will be starting off in first place. Second place, Jonathan Burt. John Dart yet to grid at the moment. He will start off in third place. Travis Dart will start in the fourth place position. There we go. We'll also take a look at the liveries at the same time. Andrew Lippman in the 00 will start in fifth. The 34, Michael Thorpe Jr. starts in sixth. Seventh place is Hunter Karsten in that number 13 machine. The 46 of Jared Claude starts in 8th. 9th place is, I'll try this one more time, Heberly Telemique. I'm going to hope it's Telemique. Is that or is Telemike? I will look for a correction in the meantime. The paint scheme was done by Tony Brent. Ah, well. Not only is he a driver in the series, he's also a very skilled painter. I believe that was for the 101 machine, so I was referring to either that or the number 6 of Jonathan Burt. 2 pace laps here. With the 1 to green signal, that can mean only one thing, and that means it will soon be time for racing. Pace car will put the field in control. There's the start zone. We'll see what happens here at Five Flags. The first heat race is underway. And a fantastic start already by Corey Moore. Jonathan Burt sits in line, so we'll be side by side for third place between John Dart on the inside and that number 93, the outside lane of Travis Dart. I'm seeing a pattern here already as there's a spin in the back. It's the 34 correction of Michael Thorpe Jr. He'll go to the back of the field, luckily not missing any very important parts of his car, at least in terms of bumpers. Everything's still relatively attached, just a slightly small spin. We will take a look at that either way momentarily. In the meantime, we're going to figure out why our spotter radio is coming over the airwaves, so we will turn that off in the meantime, as useful as it is. However, it's not necessarily needed right now. I'll also take this opportunity to rewind and take a look and see what happened in going into turns 3 and 4. As we will have your replay up for you right now. So let's take a look. 34 up on the outside, 00 goes in and hits a bump and just barely understeers. Oh, man. Well, it happens. No harm, no foul, if you ask me. As we shouldn't be back to the B-roll, we should be back to our live feed. There we go. So 22 laps to go here as we are under caution for the first time, which luckily answers my question of, do we have cautions? Quick answer, yes. Of course, after this heat race, we'll see who will be advancing. Specifically, as far as I know, it would be the top 4. I've just gotten the pronunciation. It's Telemark. So, Telemark. David in chat saying, that one took me a few tries too. Glad I'm not the only one. I was so close yet so far. 1 lap to green, as what the purple means on the little timing bubble that we have. Scoring bubble, whatever you want to call it. Field in control of Corey Moore in the 84, which I feel like was quite planned. We go green flag racing once again. John Dart to the inside, not wasting too much time to get right to the inside. Travis Star has a great view of this battle here as we go down the front straightaway. Diving down to the inside of Jonathan Bird as well, they will still remain side by side for second, just ever so slightly. Jonathan Burt trying to hang on the outside lane. Is he able to? No. Dart closes the door. The 6 overdrives, and the caution is out once again. Travis Dart not only had a front row seat to that battle, but he also had a front row seat to completely avoiding that crash, I think, just ever so slightly. We'll take a look at that in a few moments as everyone gets back in control. I think the caution came out, yeah, when the 26 was quite a ways through the field in a sense. So get a look momentarily. Bad luck for Jonathan Burr, who decides to go to pit road, and I don't really blame him one bit. We saw it as it happened, just overdrove the corner. 26 tags him a little bit, but just manages to stay off, which is a fantastic piece of driving. So we'll ride on board with the 26 as well to see what he saw. For the most part, actually, to see what he saw on the right-hand car. Just like that. Luckily, again, for the most part, no harm, no foul, if you ask me. Just, again, no one's missing a bumper. I feel like that's pretty successful so far for these heat races. If no one's missing a bumper, I think we're good. If someone's missing a bumper, then that's when we should start to worry just a little bit. Jonathan Burt did have significant amounts of damage, of course. He sat in pit road for he sat in the pit box specifically for 42 seconds. Whether or not he took tires is a little bit unknown to me for the moment. He is 1 lap down. Well, he does have time to get everything regrouped if a caution does come out again. Well, I say if. We all know the saying, cautions breed cautions. So it's a more when rather than if. So Jonathan Burt, luckily, not out of this race just yet. Someone forgot to install the microphone on the pace car, apparently. But luckily, that doesn't remove the visual indication of no more caution laps. We'll see how things go with this restart. John Dart ready, waiting, and still a great shot on the restart by Corey Moore. Absolutely fantastic job. So here comes the 13 of Hunter Karsten. I want to say relatively quiet race, which technically it's true, but technically it's also not true. But it's a quiet race in a good way. He's just been sitting there and biding his own time. He's going to be trying to make his way up to the 3rd place position. It's a little bit of an internet connection issue for, that is the 26. Stays up top on the outside. 13 likewise does give him room, acknowledges that the fact that, well, he could just come in right at any second. Both drivers trying to utilize those lanes to their own advantages as we're coming to 10 laps to go at the start-finish line. So right on board Michael Thorpe, as actually it looks like the 88 has had a problem, and that is the case enough to throw the caution. As Telemac, so close. As Telemac had a spin, I caught a glimpse of that just as I switched to the onboard. Interestingly enough, it was enough to throw a yellow flag. So it looks like we are not able to get to the replay quite yet. Very interesting. So for some reason, actually, I'll try this. There we go. Almost have it. Try further. 10 seconds back. There's a replay. A little bit delayed, but we got there at the end of the day. Was it just a lone spin? Yep, loss of grip. Seen that quite a bit lately, and that's the point where the caution came out. Which, understandably enough, is a positive concern when you have a driver spinning on the inside lane in what is technically the racing line. Especially for corner entry, mid-corner, what have you. Popping in a little bit to check on the chat. Hopefully everyone's, again, having a wonderful evening. Let's see what we got here. Super easy to do off 4 in a super late model, spinning off of turn 4. I can only imagine in a heavier Xfinity car. These things are, I think these things are also still more powerful, technically, than the next-gen cars. If I remember correctly, 750 horsepower are these cars, Xfinity cars. Nope, the next-gen cars are, I believe, limited to about 725. I would have to double-check that. In the meantime, and Noah followed up with easy to do that in any car here, tough track. That is true. The banking and transition is absolutely a little bit brutal in some instances, especially how much banking we have. In fact, we're right on board with the gyrocam here. There's pretty much always banking. You will never see the windshield or that support pillar on the windshield be aligned with the camera. This is how much banking there is, and it's just constant. You can see for yourself here just how banked it is. Something that the cameras can only do so much in terms of picking up as we go 1 lap to green. Once again, a double file restart. Good news for any fans of the number 6 car. Jonathan Burt is back on the lead lap. We got the wave around while we are trying to catch up with the replay, so remember what I said. Cautions can still happen. We will have 5 laps to go. Unlike main races, the heat races will not be extended. So whatever happens at the start-finish line will happen. Corey Moore, gets a great jump. And look at that. Hunter Karsten sitting in line, was anticipating that. Sits with the 93 side by side in turn 2. Not enough to move quite yet, as we will have 3 laps to go at the start-finish line. A little bit of a bobble from both Karsten and Dart off of turn number 4. I think Karsten actually just got to the bumper of Travis Dart. These laps tick by very, very quickly, so it's going to be crucial to see which flag comes out as, wow, Travis Dart sliding a little bit off of turn number 4. Michael Thorpe Jr. trying a different line. We're going to be taking a look, and this is why we're going to take a look at the 4th place position, potentially the transfer spot. The 26 of Travis Dart gets loose. White flag this time by. Is Travis Dart able to have a smoother exit off turn 2 this time by? Yes, he does. What matters is, can he have that smooth exit off turn 4? To the bumper goes John Dart. He'll spin off turn number 4. Karsten goes through. So does Thorpe. And just at the line, the 00 makes it, I believe. And it's an absolute carnage for the checkered flag. Karsten snuck through. Wow, so Corey Moore, Hunter Carson, Michael Thorpe Jr., and Andrew Littman provisionally are those 4 drivers that will be going into the next and going into the final heat race. I say provisionally because that double check will be needed to see which drivers will and will not be making it, which is something that I'm going to do right now. As you throw it a little bit of B-roll, the next heat race is gridding, and we will see. So it is 3 drivers to the feature from these heat races. So the second heat race will have the top 3 advance. So let me double check the results of heat race number 1. So it will be Corey Moore, Hunter Carson, Michael Thorpe Jr. going through. Andrew Littman will not be going through as of yet. So the top 3 will be making it. Consolation, I believe, will be the remainder of the what should be the. Let me double check one more time. Somehow I lost that page, which was a little bit embarrassing of who goes where. It just won't tell me. Well, it should be hypothetically 12 total, but we'll see if it does end up being 13. Maybe that's why it's doing 3. So it should be 3, 3, and then whatever 3 minus 3 is, however 6 minus 13 is, 13 minus 6. We'll get there in the end. Still the first pace lap for this second heat race. Luckily, it gives us enough time to see who is where in terms of the starting positions. Tony Brent starting off in the first place. Victor Pfluger starting in second. Philip Chavez third in the 101. 15 of Chris Chavez Essery starts in fourth. Brian Johnson fifth. Cameron Sarton starts sixth. Bill Dart starts in seventh. And Ryan Lynch will start in the 8th place position. A nice even number. Sadly for these drivers, it's not going to be an even number for those that will advance into the final feature race. 90 laps as well for that feature race. Top 3 will advance as we go green flag racing for heat race number 2 of 2. After this, it will be the consolation race. This could be the last chance qualifying for any drivers that did not make it in. So now we know the top 3 is what matters. As the 80 spins off turn number 4. Oh my goodness. He has blown the engine too. That is race over. It's not over for the night. He still has the LCQ. But shockingly enough, that is not even finishing lap, well, technically finishing lap 1 sideways with a blown engine. See it here, just puts in too much power. We'll rewind this one more time for pretty much all the way back to the start. Let's ride on board and listen to the throttle. Man, that is... There it is. The 28 was leading at the time of the caution. And he continues to lead as of this moment. Well, I call that the commentator's curse. I shouldn't have said anything. The reason why, a nice even number is what I said earlier. Then I ruined it. So, if anything, I will chalk that to a commentator's curse. And not only turn 4, but also cold tires, as David points out in chat, which is very, very fair. So it's going to be very crucial to obviously not overdrive the car. It's easier said than done, of course. The transition, the banking, and especially in these cars where you have so much power under your right foot, it is, I don't want to say terrifying, treacherous, maybe. Tentative throttle application is what's needed here. So 1 lap at the line. Lights are out on the pace car. Surely not the last time we'll be seeing the pace car tonight. Race car will pull itself off into the little safety of pit road, but no doubt I'll have to come back on track here. And well, who knows how long, as the green flag flies once again, the inside lane of the 28. Brent did not get a good start. He had the 101 all over his back bumper. No doubt messed up his start, and that's going to leave Chris Esri to run around the outside. Can he get the pass done? This is the real question. Oh no! And somehow everybody avoids it. Oh, that's very unfortunate. And yep, there it is. The smoking engine is a very telltale sign of I'm not an expert, but I don't think smoke should be coming out of that. 28 degrees, of course, going into pit road. Well, welcome to Five Flags, where racing space does exist. However, turn 4 will utterly, absolutely be the main culprit in ruining your chances of even finishing, if anything. Well, we saw it as it happened, but of course, as always, it doesn't hurt to take an extra look at what had occurred off turn number 4 between the 28 of Tony Brent and the 15 of Chris Chavez Esri. You saw it from the head-on angle. You could see it from here as well, just losing grip into the inside wall. Not as hard as Victor Fluger. However, it's still enough to absolutely ruin the engine. That also includes, of course, ruining any chances of at least immediately advancing into the feature race. So the field's still under caution for the moment. 1 lap to green this time by, no doubt. And of course, I should also say, just in case anyone is interested, if you want to stop by and, I believe we have a warm-up session in the middle. I'll have to take a look. If anyone wants to stop by and have a little bit of a talk and see how things are, 2 laps of green at this time by. If anyone who happens to be out early or is just casually relaxing, hop in the waiting room and we'll drag you in for a little bit of an interview during the warm-up session, which we should have, in theory, hopefully, after this. Correction, after the Constellation. And of course, as a reminder as well, should have mentioned this beforehand, but top 3 of the main race finishers will be interviewed, at least standard, in the main races. But of course, anyone else wants to jump in for a quick interview, you are more than welcome to. However, not now. We have a race going on, of course. If you don't get picked, don't worry. There's still the chance of being talked with after the race. But in the meantime, that race is going to go back under green flag conditions momentarily. Well, that race is technically a heat race. Just over 10 laps to go at the start-finish line as we take the green once again. 2 drivers out early on. They still have a chance to get in at the LCQ. A little bit, just a few moments after this heat race concludes. That's not going to stop some drivers, such as Philip Chavez, to cement themselves into the feature race. Brian Johnson was about to cement himself into the cement off of turn 4, but luckily he just held on to it. In fact, he's taking a little bit of a lower exit off turn number 4, which is very, very interesting. Taking a little bit of a lower line than Chavez in general. Let's take a look off the shark fin. Oh, listen to that exhaust. So 2 separate battles are starting to show up here. Chris Chavez under fire from Cameron Starton, apologies, as he goes to the inside lane. Will it be an easy pass for the lead? Not quite. Ezra's going to put up a fight on the outside lane. Look at them giving all the space possible. Number 1 machine just barely hooking the inside apron off of 3 and 4. Does do the same in turns 1 and 2, not necessarily, about half a lane higher. This is slowing both of these drivers down. As I just saw turn number 2, that slight kick out from the rear is the rear of the car being upset and running so low on that inside lane. But he still kept it under control, so a great car control. Brian Johnson is going to be all over the back bumper, and he still is and was. He's on the outside wall ever so slightly. He is pushing that car to get by the 101. That's just to give them the relief, being able to relax, not having to run in the last chance qualifier. 5 laps to go. 27 kicks up to the outside lane, running wide. Gonna do everything possible. He is faster. Let's see, last time by 0.2 of a second difference between these two drivers. In fact, put that up for everybody now. You get to see everyone's previous completed lap time, except for 7th and 8th, of course, as they are both off the surface. Cameron has made his way back up to the back bumper of Chavez Ezri. And just hear how lightly the throttle is being pressed by both these drivers. That's at least like half throttle going into full throttle once you're straightened up. Does Cameron Sarton have anything for the 15 with that loose bobble off of turn number 4? That might be the case. White flag this time by 2 battles for 2 different positions. It'll be side by side through turns 3 and 4. It's going to be a drag race to the start finish line. Side by side they go. Just by a fender is Chavez Ezra getting the finish, getting the victory in heat race number 2. Cameron Sarton also advances. Philip Chavez advances. Brian Johnson, a well respected effort. He will finish in 4th place. Now it is time for the consolation. And that's going to be the key thing that matters here going into the warm-up, at least, I should say. Not only the warm-up, but also the feature, as the starting grid will get themselves sorted. We'll see how many drivers will advance from this. Top 7 drivers will advance from the consolation. So that will be the rest of the field to make up the 13 that we have running the 90 laps in the feature event. As everyone will be getting gridded momentarily. Well, not even momentarily, more like currently. As the sun has pretty much fully set here around the 5 Flags Speedway, firmly under the lights. As we take a look from a hovering camera, we just take a look at the starting grid here as well as they start to make their way through. So, Andrew Littman, remember he finished 4th in heat race number 1. He'll start off in 1st place in this. Brian Johnson is going to be alternating, of course. So heat race number 1, the rest of the finishers line up on the inside, and then the outside lane for heat race number 2. So Andrew Littman starts 1st, Brian Johnson 2nd, Travis Start in 3rd place in that number 26, Bill Dart in the number 7 starting off in 4th, and then John Dart. How many of you are there is my question. Anyway, moving on, John Dart rounds out the top 5. Ryan Lynch starts off in 6th. 7th place is Heberly Telemaque. We'll get there at the end of the night, I'm sure. Heberly Telemaque. There we go. Tony Brent starts off in 8th. Jonathan Burt starts 9th. 10th place is Victor Pfluger. 11th place starting is Jared Claude. The pace car will be making its way into pit road. and it will let the field loose for 25 laps. Again, the top 7 drivers will advance into the feature race. Green flag flies, and we are underway once again. A fantastic start by Brian Johnson on the outside lane. Andrew Littman did not get going, potentially started in a lower gear. We'll see. At this point, it's fair enough. Car control over positions. Speaking of car control and positions, 46 falling back out of the top 7. It does have time to get back into the top 7, though. Again, 25 laps here for this LCQ. John Dart, Eberly Telemaque driving side by side through turn number 4. 93 with the advantage at the start-finish line. That is not Hepperly. That is the 7 of Bill Dart on the outside. Hepperly does have a very wonderful front row seat to this as the caution is out. That is the cause of that is a quick spin, no doubt, from the number 6 of Jonathan Burt. Well, didn't hit the proper transition at the time. There we go. Let's take a look and see what happened to the number 6. Was it off turn number 4, perhaps? It might have been entering turn number 1. Just barely scrapes the outside wall. And, ever so slightly gets tagged by the 46. Just a racing deal. That happens. In fact, we'll run this back one more time right on board with the 46. I don't even know. That's just barely made that contact. That is, of course, bound to happen in situations like these, of course, where you have a very, again, I don't want to say treacherous, a very challenging short track, on top of banking everywhere, on top of trying to run your preferred lane, but the track thinks otherwise, as well as your tires. There are so many factors, and it is very unforgiving, to say the least. As we see the field roll through turns 3 and 4. A little bit of a chance to catch our breath, of course. Check in with the audience tonight. Let's see how everyone's going. So everyone's having a wonderful time, which is always fantastic. A lot of desperation in this one, of course, is showing. Well, correction, it hasn't shown yet, but it will, especially when these laps start to tick down more and more and more. Well, these 25 laps are going to fly by quick, and 90 laps are going to fly by quick as well in the future. And we have to get through the LCQ first, and we have to get the top 7 through. There's the start that Brian Johnson has gotten on the outside as well. Andrew Littman, again, not necessarily caught sleeping, but a lot more careful to jump on the throttle on the restart. That is going to allow Travis Dart to get to the inside. Andrew Littman bobbles in turns 3 and 4. No doubt saw the 26 and got a little bit nervous. The car's not handling too well for him, I don't think. He's just not used to it. Maybe struggling a little bit. He does have time, of course, to get himself sorted, get himself calm, and just fall right in line here behind 26. And, well, falling in line is going to be everybody else, as Tony Brent is in the outside wall with a missing rear fender. 46 might have been involved in that as well. The caution is out once again for the second time in the LCQ specifically. So let's see what happens here. We're about a lap ahead. We get to ride on board and see what happened with Tony Brent. We saw the rear of the car was all banged up. And, well, of course, we will take a look at this from an external angle. From that angle, it doesn't look good, but we will run this back. So let's see what happened going into turns 3 and 4. Oh, that's what. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Just outbraked himself on the shore. The 46 took too much speed. Probably wasn't expecting the 28 to slow down as much as he had, but that's what happens when you're in line. With a lot of drivers here, it's of course very, very difficult to anticipate the braking zone of another driver, but that's what you have to do. You have to be careful. And despite the 26 being on the outside already, we are not one to green. Quite the opposite, actually. Well, as we come to the restart, what I'm going to do is sit out for a little bit, a couple laps, or unless a caution comes out, and just sit back and let you take in effectively both the sights and sounds of the Five Flags Speedway with Xfinity cars on it, believe it or not. Now the battle for the lead heating up, and the rear tires of Travis Dart heating up at the same time. A little bit of an update you may have seen on the left-hand side that Andrew Lennon has, unfortunately, fallen all the way to the back of the field for the moment. Way to the back of the field. But that won't stop the side-by-side battle from occurring. Of course, it was not enough for a caution to come out. You have the attention divided quite a little bit here in these final 6 laps. It is a consistent side-by-side battle between Brian Johnson and John Dart. Johnson up on the outside, Dart on the inside in that number 93. Can Johnson roll through that higher lane? Can he utilize it? Of course, this technically doesn't really matter, except for bragging rights and showing your hand a little bit. Wow! And with that, the caution comes out. The 46 is around. Is that going to be the finish? We still have time. We'll take a look back and see what had occurred to bring out the yellow flag here. Started with the 46 off of turn number 4. Was just overdriving the exit perhaps, slides up a little bit, and no, in fact, just a little bit of contact. Wow! As the 6 of Jonathan Dart hard into the outside wall. We're not at 3 laps to go quite yet. Oh, now we are. They'll come back live momentarily, but man. And there goes the steering. In fact, it's enough for Jonathan Dart to be in pit road. He might have gotten the meatball flag. That's the only reason why I can assume he would have stayed out, is that he got a meatball flag. So we'll see how things fare here. Is it going to be a one-lap shootout? They're lining up like it's going to be a one-lap shootout. No, it is not going to be a one-lap shootout by the looks of it, unless... Ah, that's the thing. It's a green-white checkered, so that does exist. Alright then, that answers that question. However many attempts, genuinely unsure. I would assume one attempt at a green-white checkered, but... about that desperation that was mentioned earlier, we're going to be seeing a lot of it here momentarily. Well, the lights are out on the pace car. And now it takes over to green-white checker territory. Well, this is going to be quite hectic, to say the least. Top 7 drivers are going to be the ones that advance into the main race. The 90-lap, 13-car main event is going to be decided here in the LCQ. Green flag flies once again. A 27 of Brian Johnson gets as good a start as he can, but not as good as John Dart on the outside. Side by side they go. Does the next flag end the race? We'll figure out if that will be the case or not. Around the outside, John Dart goes to 27, forced to resign for second place. White flag at the start-finish line as we focus on P7. That's Andrew Littman in the 00, under attack by the number 3 of Ryan Lynch. Side by side they go. Littman sends it around the outside. That's going to force the 3 to go side by side. He powers it off the corner, but it's not enough to make the top 7. John Dart, Brian Johnson, Travis Dart, Heberly Telmack, Bill Dart, Victor Pfluger, and Andrew Littman all advance to the feature event. Wow. I have to say, props to Ryan Lynch. Amazing, amazing, amazing job at trying his absolute hardest to get into the feature event cleanly as well. Powered off turn 4, but the track and the tires and the car just gave out there at the end. Well, considering it's a 3-minute warm-up, might skip those interviews, actually. That's my apologies. I didn't know about that up until 30 seconds ago. But in the meantime, I'm going to give my voice a break, not going to commercial, but we will sit back and let everyone enjoy the, once again, the sights and sounds of Five Flags Speedway. And the 34 apparently wrecking in turn 1, exploding his engine, is apparently a part of that. So enjoy the next 2 minutes of the sights and sounds. Well, with that, 10 seconds left in warm-up. And boy, oh boy, do we have a race on our hands. Of course, just before we get into that, just before we get into the race as well, go ahead and scroll down into the description as you see all the sponsorships rotating through on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Butt Kicker on the throttle, as well as Team Watson racing setups. All of those links from FSRA are provided in the description below for your convenience. If you happen to have the time and give them a little bit of a look, check them out. Butt Kicker, of course, providing the motion rigs on the throttle, mostly being a podcast, and probably a couple other things that I probably have forgotten about and should have done research on. Oops. And of course, Team Watson Racing Setups. It's in the name. It's Team Watson Racing Setups. It's racing setups provided by Team Watson. Of course, some of which I believe are used as well in FSRA for wonderful occasions such as tonight's event. And boy, oh boy, do we have an event lined up for you. 90 laps. Going to be the feature race here and the main event of the evening. Correction, 80 laps, apparently. Probably didn't go through at some point, but 80 laps, I believe, is going to be the 90, actually, is going to be the maximum allowed for GWCs. We'll find out in the meantime. However, that's not going to stop us from having a wonderful event and taking a look at what drivers are starting where, such as Corey Moore starting in the first place position in appropriately numbered 84. Chris Chavez Ezri starts in second in the number 15. Hunter Karsten, wonderful, wonderful heat race number 1 to get himself into effectively a third place starting position here in the main feature. Cameron Sarton starting off in 4th place position in the number 1. Michael Thorpe Jr. in the 34 starts off in 5th. Philip Chavez in the 101 starts in 6th. John Dart in the 93 starts 7th. Brian Johnson in the 27 starts 8th. 9th place in the 26 is Travis Dart. 88 is Heberly Telemac in the 10th place position. Bill Dart in the number 7 starts in the 11th. Victor Fluger in the 12th place position. Well, he'll start 12th. And then Andrew Littman in the 00 starts off in 13th place. It's going to be one heck of a race here. 80 laps on tap. Green flag racing already. Corey Moore has decided to set the pace, and that is set to fast. As he decides to check out by currently 0.6 of a second. That leaves second place to be battled between Hunter Karsten and Chris Chavez Ezri, which leads Karsten to come out on top in that battle. He'll sit second for the time being. Michael Thorpe Jr. makes his way through the 4th place, getting by Cameron Sarton, who rounds out the top 5, which leads to a caution flag in the back. It's the 7 of Bill Dart in the inside wall, bringing out the first caution of the evening. Let's see what exactly had occurred, and it's just a spin, the loss of grip, and somehow I think even his left front barely tagged. That's actually not too bad. Let's ride on board and listen to potential damage. Barely. I'm very intrigued by is, look at this in slow motion real quick. Goes into the corner, and you could see from here it has just immediately broken loose. On board, it looked like he got tagged from behind, but that was not the case. So it might have been too much braking. That's where you start to mess with the brake bias then and move that more forwards as opposed to rearwards. maybe that should help him figure out, or, well, how do I word this properly? It should hopefully help him avoid that kind of spin in the future. But, of course, cold tires have a mind of their own. So, of course, it can always be mitigated to a certain extent rather than fully prevented. But no harm, no foul. Everyone else had a wonderful avoidance and didn't really hit the wall too hard. And I believe, actually, I don't think it's too damaged. Taking a look through here, doesn't look too bad. So he might be fine for the most part as the field comes to the start-finish line to get the 1 lap to green signal. And just like that, we're already 7 laps in. So I love short tracks. It's a you blink and you miss it kind of scenario for short track races. I'm seeing there is buffering going on. Might just be on my end rather than fully on YouTube, hopefully. Although if there are issues, please do drop some feedback and we'll see what I can do. The thing that the 84 can do is get shy of a cannon. He is timing these restarts perfectly. Well, that leaves the 14, the 13, and the 34 and the 15, there we go, to run side by side for third place. And as Ezra gets a little bit loose, Cameron Sarton tries to go up top. He gets a little bit loose running the middle lane. So a lot of different ideas happening here. As he continues to take laps on the board, 34 of Thorpe is going to try his absolute best to get around the start-finish line. If that was for the win, man, oh man, I don't have any words for that. Just hundredths of a second, just by a few fenders. I suppose there's more than one. A few fenders is probably about car length. Still, just consistently running that top side is the 34. A lot of people might be keeping an eye on that, to be fair, as we keep an eye on this battle for the third place position. The wonderful, wonderful oval dynamic track system on ovals definitely coming into play here. Not only taking into account where the rubber is laid down, but where cars are running, putting heat into the surface of where those cars are running, and that's mostly on the inside lane, but that's not stopping the 34 from running the outside lane at the start-finish line. It's about half a car length back this time by, and this time by it's the 101 who is in the inside wall at the start-finish line. Take a look and see what happened off of turn number 4. What led him into that situation in the first place. So let's see. Was it just the turn 4 strike? Yes, it was. But very minimal damage. Great job by Chavez to lock it down immediately. Very, very good heads-up driving. So just a simple spin, nothing too major. And no harm, no foul. Maybe just a few paint scuffs. He is coming into pit road. I don't blame him. Might as well get that fixed and just repaired. No one has gone into pit road in this race as of yet, up until 10 seconds ago. Chavez will be going into his pit box, getting that getting the front end of that car looked at, getting repaired. No tires, maybe a little bit of fuel just for fun, just to give the gas man something to do. But regardless, looks like he'll be just sitting in pit road. It's been 14 seconds. Pace car is over here. In fact, we have a camera for this. There it is. Yeah, well, just right when I click to it. It's already out of pit road. 21 and a half seconds in the pit box. 41 seconds in total on pit road. Does he think he needs to come in again? No, that might have just been all the damage. At least a good majority of it fixed, so hopefully nothing too much to worry about for Chavez. As a fun mid-race reminder to any drivers who happen to be listening, change your radio back to your spotter. I don't know why you're listening. Second of all, while you're still here, the top 3 finishers of this race will be interviewed at the end, just as a little bit of a heads up. maybe one or two wild card interviews, quote unquote. So we'll see. But turn back to your spotter. Don't listen to me. Is going to be the important one to listen to, especially on this restart. So we're coming to about just over 60 laps to go, 63, 64. Well, yeah, no, 63 laps to go at the line. And oh, that's going to be very detrimental to Hunter Karsten. He anticipated it, but it didn't go well. Does he get a penalty for doing that is the question. Hunter went, but then slowed down. The 84 then went, catching everybody off guard. Karsten is now in a fight for second place once again. He anticipated it very well. However, the 84 caught everybody off guard. Does the 13 have to serve a penalty? He did not pass the leader before the start-finish line. He should be fine in theory. And if he does have to serve a penalty, it would just be absolutely rough. But we'll see how things fare in the meantime. He's hanging up on the outside lane. He's not making a move to the inside lane. Not that he could technically. He's not making a move to frantically get down the pit road. Might be trying to, if at all, argue his case of race control. And say, well, I didn't technically go. I anticipated it, got it wrong. And, well, there he is. He's in 5th right now. So, not that really gained him a lasting advantage. John Dart capitalizing on this situation. He's currently in 6th place, looking to go into the top 5, the 34, looking to keep himself out of the outside wall. And just like that, we have a little bit of a battle going on here. Karsten very caught off guard, trying to get himself under control. The driver that is not in control is the 00 of Andrew Littman. Does he tow immediately? He's going to roll to the inside. iRacing race control does not throw a caution. He is off the racing surface. What a shame. Very, very unfortunate. A lot of heartbreak for the 00 of Andrew Littman. Doing so well. Oh man, that's unfortunate. We'll take a look here and see what exactly happened with the 00 off the corner. That's when he spun. The caution is out now with the 88. We will stick with this replay real quick. We'll see what happened to the 00. Did he just snap oversteer? Wow. So take a look one more time. Just the snap oversteer. The 101 of Chavez somehow had a very protective bubble around him. We will stick with this replay and see what happened with the 88. We're not going to go back live and then rewind. So we'll see what happened. Littman rolls off the track, no doubt disappointment, and then finally toes back to pit road. Something happened with the 88 and the 27 that we saw briefly for a moment before we went to the replay. What happened between the two? Was it the same thing that Andrew Littman had suffered? It was the almost the exact same thing. The 88 was able to keep it under control, though, and spin down to the inside lane. Did not overcorrect, but heartbreaking for Littman. That is the cause of the caution. And now we'll go back live. Well, catch your breath, everybody. The drivers do have an extra set of tires available to them. So they've been taking tires. Is the car up on the jack? I genuinely can't tell. Nope, that was just the angle of the camera. Okay, I was about to be very confused. Like, I was about to say, his engine is damaged. I don't think he needs tires. Well, these drivers do have one extra set of tires available to them. Does anyone decide to use them? Not yet. I do see perhaps a couple drivers maybe looking on the apron, but a little bit of a fake out, effectively. It's a bit too early to go in for tires. Mostly in the case of the fact that it's been 28 laps, most of which have been under caution. So these tires aren't too stressed. Hypothetically, you might, if there are enough cautions, some drivers might choose to stretch these to the end, but I'd say it's a better chance of getting that extra security, an extra set of tires. So halfway, of course, lap 40. Split 2 and 2, 40 laps on these tires, 40 laps on another set, and you're fine. But why use an extra set of tires if these ones might make it just a few laps further, especially with the caution laps that we're running. You could stretch you could stretch out the race laps just a little bit. Again, I say hypothetically, and of course this is only the Clash. This is not the main race. If you're tuning in for the first time, well, hello, I forgot to make a graphic for myself. I am Gary Weaver. I might have forgotten to introduce myself, but we'll ignore that part. I'm a one-man operation of production, commentary, replays, setting up the cameras, what have you. I am giving you all the action here at the Five Flag Speedway with the Full Send Racing Association, the Full Send Racing Series. A driver that is 100% going full send on the restarts is the 84 of Corey Moore. Might as well be a tagline for him at this point as he sets off into turn 3 and 4. 15 of Chavez Ezri running a little bit higher, not running the exact inside lane, running about half a lane to about a lane higher, car width higher, technically speaking. If you want to be pedantic and say both lanes are the double dash lines. True. Single file for the most part, as few drivers will be running a bit higher up on the track, like the 93 of John Dart. Travis Dart staying directly behind him, and Bill Dart in the 9th place position. I genuinely want to know the relation between all 3 of them. If they're like father and then 2 sons, or all brothers. And a spin slightly by Bill Dart. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. That might have spooked him a little bit. Whoops. Had a slight slide in turns 1 and 2, but he did keep it under control, so we'll not exactly rush to look at it. The 88 scraping the outside wall just a little bit. The only driver that is out of the race right now is Andrew Littman in the 00. And the driver that might be out of the running for the lead for the time being is the 15 of Chris Chavez Essery, who just manages to keep it under control in turn 4. We just saw that as it happened. We'll take one more look at it. In fact, we might do both here momentarily. A fantastic way to just lock down the car and just say, you know what, I'm just going to sit here and hope nobody hits me. That went fantastically well. So let's take a look and see what happened with Bill Dart. Was it this corner? It was not. It was a lap ago. Well, not that far back, but we had the anticipation of waiting for it. So let's see. Of course, no contact was made. Dives into turn 1, backfiring, and just keeps it under control, goes to the apron. And then, not one lap later, is the 15. Well, technically a lap later, yeah, it's the 15 of Chris Chavez Essery sliding on the inside lane, keeping it under control, luckily, and nobody else managed to hit him. And it's all the way from corner entry. The 34 just barely avoids. We'll have to run this back one more time. 20 seconds is apparently a lap. Let's ride on board with Michael Thorpe Jr. Sees it, he sees it, he sees it. Just barely avoids it. And just keeps his own car under control for good measure. Suffice to say, what a race we have had so far. One lap to green, we are just about to get to halfway. Once again, hopefully everyone is enjoying their night. See how things fare. A lot of drivers usually utilizing the outside lane a little bit higher up. That's not going to stop Corey Moore from getting a rocket ship of a start. I wonder how many times he must have practiced restarts, especially in these cars, in the nighttime conditions, at this track especially, where it's technically known to be treacherous in a sense, especially with not only super lates, but these cars. Thorpe is experiencing that for sure on corner exit. side by side. Thorpe trying to recover. The 101 of Philip Chavez way outside. Just stays to the outside of the 88. Who slides on the inside and around enough to cause the caution. So technically a halfway caution, because it is halfway. I saw that as it happened, so no need for a replay necessarily. I feel going to be making their way through turns 3 and 4 momentarily. Now the question, the fun question, does anyone decide to go to pit road now that it's halfway? Do they stay out, bank on a late caution? Unless you're John Dart and Cameron, no, they do stay out. Does everyone else stay out? No, the 34 of Michael Thorpe Jr. comes into pit road, so does the 15. So these two drivers will be utilizing that one extra set of tires that they have available to them. All drivers have that available to them. And, well, we see that Michael Thorpe is one of the two drivers that will be using them just after halfway. In fact, I don't see the car going up on the jacks. Is this a fake out, perhaps? Is it just damage repair? No, never mind. I see the 15. The 15 is getting tires, but not Michael. That is genuinely fascinating. So the 15 is away and he goes down. Could Michael just be repairing damage? Obviously, yes. And in fact, it's enough for him to sit in pit road. Could be other things at hand. If so, what fantastic timing for the caution to come out for him. So it might have been the plans for Michael. Let's keep an eye on his car for the time being. And now he's down in the way. He does have a lot of damage on the right rear portion of his car. It might have been just sitting, just taking the time to repair all the damage. So the 15 is going to be the only car on new tires. Everyone else has chosen to elect to potentially stretch their tires to the end, especially if this keeps going. 15 of Chris Esri thinking, well, you know what, it's been 40 laps, and even with the cautions, I can make my tires go longer. They're 45 or so laps fresher. Might as well use them. Let's see how things go. Let's see if we can get back up to the front. The 84 down and away in the restart zone, catching practically everybody off guard on the outside. Nearly 3 wide. It probably could have been off turn number 2 with Cameron Sarton running the outside lane. The 93 on the inside, fighting back, sliding ever so slightly the tires on the rear of the car. The 26 of Travis Gard going way wide, trying to run the top side. Hasn't proved too successful. I'll run back in the middle lane as Cameron Sarton moves up to second. And side by side, around the outside, goes the 26 of Travis Dart. Hunter Karsten. And keep his car in control, move his way back up to at least the top 3. Cameron Sarton, not necessarily all over the back bumper of Corey Moore, but he's definitely lurking in the mirrors enough to say, hey, I'm right here, don't forget about me. It's definitely working pretty well. Every time I see the 1 on that corner exit, it looks like he's going to make a move to the inside. This time he does. Pokes a nose to the inside for the lead. Just over 30 laps to go. Position swapping between a few drivers in the back of the field. Position here up front might swap at the start-finish line. The 1 of Cameron Sarton goes to the lead at the start-finish line. Can he retain the lead on track? He has that preferred inside lane. For the first time tonight, I think, the 84 has lost the lead. He'll go to second. He has John Dart breathing down his neck. Does John go to the inside? No. The 84 overdrives corner entry. He'll slide twice, gets bumped by the 93. The 84 stays in control. No caution. And the 1 of Cameron Sarton spins off turn number 4. There's the caution. Wow. And somehow throughout all of that, the 93 of John Dart is in the lead. The 26 will wait. Oh, John Dart goes to pit road. Oh, I think Hunter wanted to go to pit road. He's too late. A few drivers in pit road. Travis Dart, John Dart, Bill Dart, Hemberly Telemock, Corey Moore, and Cameron Sarton. The drivers that have yet to pit now are Hunter Karsten, as Michael Thorpe will take the wave around, Hunter Karsten, Victor Pfluger, Brian Johnson, all have yet to pit. These are your new top 5 drivers. We saw both as it happened, especially with the pit stops. We're going to be sitting here. Wonderful, wonderful race so far. This is just the Clash too. This isn't even for points. Which, by the way, slight mention ahead of time, and I will be mentioning it next week at Daytona as well. We will potentially, well, no, points. Since ATVO has added a live point system, finally, amazing, love it. I've yet to actually test it. This race might be the one where I might test it. It's not going to be a live point system. It's, I think results have to be set in for a first race. So technically points may not even be live up until the second race of the season, which even then does not take, will not take stage points into account. So even then, we might not have live points in the first place. It depends. We'll see how things go. I might try and finagle the CSV to update a little bit. But at least post-race at Daytona, while I won't have the graphic ready, possibly, we will have points in time for the second race of the season. Again, that's the first race of the season. The points are relatively self-explanatory for the most part. So we'll see how things go. It might just stick with post-race points updating only, just so it's easier. And of course, it's hard to take stage points into account in real time. But regardless, we will see how things fare in the coming weeks. Also see how things fare in the coming laps. We're about to get to 20 laps to go. A lot of different drivers on a lot of different strategies. Chris Chavez-Ezra is on 14-lap old tires. Philip Chavez is on 31-lap old tires, allegedly. And then we have Hunter Karsten, Victor Pfluger, and Brian Johnson on 58-lap old tires now that we cross the start-finish line. 7th through 12th are on fresh tires of varying degrees, whether it be by 1 lap or 2 laps. So many mixed strategies. Let's see how things go. Hunter Karsten leads the way. In fact, I didn't even notice up until just now, John Dart has gone to pit road. Oh wait, the 88 is just spin off turn number 2. That's enough to cause a caution. Just barely getting the inside apron, no doubt. Well, now that we have a chance to collect ourselves again, let's try this again. The drivers that are on, well, the drivers that have even yet to pit: Hunter Karsten, Victor Pfluger, and Brian Johnson. Do they go to pit road this time by? As a resounding no, but pit road might be closed, to be fair. Correction, it might not be, considering 2 drivers go into pit road. That is Bill Dart and Michael Thorpe Jr. Now, the very annoying part is, even if the drivers have decided to not take tires, I believe this might update their stint to reset to 0 laps, because technically they sat in their pit box. Michael Thorpe repairing a little bit of more damage. That stint count won't really update until they leave pit road, but I will keep an eye on it. Does Karsten go to pit road? No, he does not. Does Pfluger go to pit road? No. John Dart faking like he will. Brian Johnson does not. Michael Thorpe just leaving pit road. John Dart, or Bill Dart, will be doing the same. Just barely beats out the pace car, and I was correct in the sense of, even if drivers repair damage, even if you do a drive-through in pit road, technically your stint resets. So that's going to be a hard thing to, a little bit of hard data management on the side of ATVO, no doubt. So A little bit of manual accounting will come into effect here in terms of paying attention to see who pits now. And speaking of pitting now, Victor Fluger has decided, you know what, sure, why not? Under 20 laps to go. This might be the time. Brian Johnson stays out. So does Hunter Karsten. Philip Chavez is listed as having a 37-lap stint. I genuinely don't know if he has gotten tires or not. There goes the right side up on the number 80. Takes both sides of tires. Might as well have a fresh set of all four just so you have grip all the way around. You definitely need that here, that's for sure. And no one else goes into pit road. Everyone else has decided to stay out. And this time by, it will be 1 lap to green. Well, we have an insane amount of varying strategy here. This is going to be absolutely chaotic. Going into the final 16 laps at the start-finish line. Green flag is out once again. Hunter Karsten getting the start that the 84 of Corey Moore has been getting. And it's just enough of a start to see the 15 of Chris Chavez-Esri sitting in second place. He is in a very prime spot to get the win here, depending on how things go. And it's a caution once again. The spin in the back. Is it Fluger? Potentially. And can also potentially involve Michael Thorpe here. For the first time in a while, we'll be going back to take a look at the replay, since everything else we've seen, we pretty much caught live. Oh no! That's the cause of the caution. Great save by both drivers, especially Fluger, to slam it on the brakes and just stay out of the pit road to avoid getting a penalty. Of course, not a intentional brake check, but those things do happen when you're sitting in line. It's enough for these drivers to go into pit road. So Cameron Sarton back in pit road, Michael Thorpe and Victor Fluger all in pit road to repair damage. Again, top drivers still have stayed out. Hunter Karsten has not had a fresh set of tires. He's banking on that same set of tires to get him through to the end. At this point, it is the point of no return in terms of strategy, unless you're insanely confident that the entire field is going to wreck. He does not want to lose his track position. Karsten does not. Has Johnson gone to pit road? No, that's Bill Dark going to pit road. It's such a high rev range that the backfire is very consistent. So Chris Chavez is on 25 lap old tires. Hunter Karsten on 68 lap old tires. Hunter no doubt banking on those tires to make it to the end. Same for Brian Johnson. He's on that same set. He hasn't even looked at pit road even once, as far as I know. He has not even gone to pit road once this race, whether it's to repair damage, fix a new set of tires, anything. The two drivers that have not even touched pit road whatsoever, of course, Hunter Karsten and Brian Johnson. 1 lap to green. There'll be 11 laps to go at the start-finish line. Can Hunter Karsten bank on this one set of tires to get him to victory in the 5 flags clash? We'll find out as the race is once again underway. Green flag flying in the hands of the starter. Philip Chavez and Chris Chavez side by side for second on the inside lane. Philip Chavez, allegedly, as far as I know, on the 44 lap old tires. Chris Chavez on 27 lap old tires. It's not going to be enough to get that run off of turn number 4. We'll focus on the lead here, as Hunter Karsten will soon be under fire from Chavez-Esri. In the 15, you see in the back, huge crash. 3-ish drivers involved as the caution comes out. Does that strategy play off for Hunter Karsten? 9 laps to go, potentially. No doubt green-white checkers in effect. Not sure how many, but in the meantime, we will take a look at the replay to see what had occurred off of turn number 4. This is a lap ahead of time. It was starting with the 101 of Philip Chavez. Did that specific set of tires go one lap too long? Or did he just push it too hard in turn 4? The answer probably is just both. Wow, the 88 hit the outside wall hard. It's the same thing we saw in the heat race, as Michael Thorpe was not able to avoid. The 27 got involved in that as well. Did the 27 get any extra damage from that is what I want to know. I went with the 88 as well. We'll go to slow motion here. So it's just a loss of grip off turn number 2. Did the 27, how much damage did he get? A little bit in the left front, but not enough. It might just be steering damage, if anything, so nothing too detrimental. Go back live here. Hypothetically, I say nothing too detrimental in the fact that, well, you could pretty much run with nothing, with basically no fenders, and you'd be fine. And judging by the fact that we're doing very, very quick cautions, race control is likely to, no doubt, say, hey, we're running just straight to the end. There's no green-white checkers by the look of it. We'll see in due time. 6 laps to go at the start-finish line. Karsten gets the jump. Chris Chavez gets the better jump on the outside lane. John Dart also on fresh tires. 21 lap old tires is the freshest out of all of these 3 as they go through turns 3 and 4. Side by side across the start-finish line. Karsten gets the ball. That prompts John Dart to move to the outside lane, saying, you know what, I'm just going to move up here, and I'll see if I can make my way around, quite literally, the outside lane. 4 laps to go at the start-finish line as they go side by side for the race lead. The 15 gets the lead at the caution. Is Brian Johnson around? Remember what I said about the, his engine might be done for as well. Remember what I said about the tires going on for one lap too long? That might have been the case for the 27. Of course, it might also be the case of turn 4 striking in that combination. So 3 laps to go at the line. I'm going to keep a very close eye on that counter. Also, the lights on the pace car. And that race control wanted to say, hey, you know what, we'll try and get this in as soon as we can without having to rely on green-white checkers, but we'll see if that does change. Do we get the extension at the start-finish line? Do we get an extension at the start-finish line? It's a nice question. In theory, the 8 races had green-white checkers, so would this main race. Lights on the pace car stay on, and yes, we get a green-white checkered attempt. Not sure how many, but we do get an attempt nonetheless. So this race will be going at least 1-ish lap over. Hunter Karsten, the only driver to not have even gone to pit road this race whatsoever. Can he stretch his tires past the 80-lap limit? Green flag flies. This would have been the white flag lap. Instead, it's 2 to go at the start-finish line. A 2-lap shootout. Off turn number 2 they go. Down the back straightaway. Side by side for second between the fresher tire runners. They make the white flag this time by as they make contact for second. Can Karsten. Huge crash in the back. That's the 88. Chris Chavez slides. White flag is out. Everyone is spinning for second place. Hunter Karsten has done the unthinkable. Stretched his same set of tires for the victory at 5 Flag Speedway. What a wonderful, wonderful run. Fantastic job by Hunter Karsten. Chris Chavez as we get second. Travis Dart has snuck his way into third as there is just absolute carnage past the start-finish line. Top 3, paging the top 3. You are wanted for interviews in due time. Not immediately, but in due time. What a run by Hunter Karsten. Rightfully so. Will burn it down at the start-finish line. Charles are probably so done. Wow. Charles is so done for not generating smoke, apparently. Absolutely deserved victory. Now you don't need the tires anymore. Now you can just burn them off the car for all they care. What a race. Wow. As the fireworks are somewhere on track. Sadly, don't have a shot of those. Oh, that's disappointing. Well, we will get the finishing results here in just a couple of moments. But, again, it's like a moment to just inhale, exhale, and we just breathe. What a first exhibition race, really. The Clash was absolutely amazing. Hunter Carson finishing in the first place position. Second place, Chris Chavez FSRA and Travis Dart finishing in third place. We'll be getting interviews with the top three here in a few moments' time when we have the ability to. Michael Thorpe Jr. finishing in fourth place. Fifth place, Victor Pfluger. Sixth place, Corey Moore. Such a dominant run. He was doing so well and then just got caught up in the traffic. That car, the not only the car, but the driver himself doing absolutely wonderful in clean air. Cameron Sarton finishing in 7th. Bill Dart finishing 8th. 9th place, Philip Chavez. John Dart rounding out the top 10 positions. And the rest of the field, Hemberly Telemock finishing in 11th, 1 lap down. Brian Johnson finishing 12th, 5 laps down. And Andrew Littman, unfortunately, out in very, very early on. But still stuck at I believe, still stuck his car, stayed with his car to the end of the race in pit road just to see how the repairs were going on. As we take a moment to collect ourselves, let's see. We have on tap momentarily. This is the part where we would have a few iRacing-based commercials, but those aren't available right now because we don't have those set up. So I will set those up for next week. But in the meantime, I will throw up some of the B-roll as my voice is kind of starting to go now that I hear that. But we will be back with a look at not only the last couple of laps, but the interview with the top 3 drivers as well. So, as we bring up the music once again, stand by momentarily, and don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the top 3 interviews. Well, let's take a look from up top, high above, at the final portions of this race. The last 2 laps were absolutely hectic beyond belief. And I have 0 words for what happened. We'll get an interview with the top 3 momentarily. Hunter Carson, Chris Chavez, Ezra, and Travis Dart. We're starting with Travis in a few moments' time. But look at the slides off the corner. I think the 88 had spun. Yes, wrecked in turns 3 and 4. Brian Johnson, I believe, had 93 had spun, and then Travis Dart sneaking through to get the top 3, and then it was just absolutely carnage after the line. He had gotten loose, managed to keep under control for the most part, but man, oh man. But what a race this was, though. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely very well done. Again, any of you with the top 3 drivers here in just a couple moments' time. We'll be starting off with the 3rd place finisher. See him burn out one more time. So bring in the 3rd place finisher, starting off with Travis Dart. Travis, I have absolutely no words for what just happened, in a good way, because, wow, that was an absolutely impressive race, but how did you get up to the top 3 all of a sudden?
My brother wrecking himself at the end of the race. That's how I ended up putting. I was running 4th for a majority of that final like 20 laps. I would say I was running like 4th and 5th, but then during that last green white checkered, John ended up churning himself on the white flag. That's how I ended up getting 3rd. I could have maybe gotten 2nd if I played my cards right, but I think that was going to be a tough task. I would have had to gone outside of somebody. That would have just been tough.
And of course, we've seen that going around the outside was sometimes the preferred lane in some literal cases, considering, well, I mean, there was a lot of drivers that were running the middle line. I saw that you had ran up to pretty much the 3rd lane at one point throughout the event as well. But even though it didn't exactly pay off in that moment, it still paid off for you to get the 3rd place position at the end of the night. So how is the tire strategy going on, considering, at least for everyone else, everyone had vastly different ideas. I mean, we've had Hunter make it through with the same set of tires. You made it through, deciding to pit about 27 laps before the checkered flag. So, walk us through your thought process with how you're feeling the car out.
So I think this is just kind of like a short track thing. I just waited until we got about halfway, but I also wanted to make sure when I did take a set of tires, it was when we did like at least like a 10, 15 lap run, which I think we did. We did, I think, a little over 10. So the tires were a little bit hot from that. So that's when I decided to pit. Did make a, I think it was an advantage to pit, but since we had those cautions still towards the end, Hunter just ended up working out for me. I was behind Hunter, so I guess I would have just stayed behind Hunter that entire time when I pitted. He did a good job staying out. Got very lucky. We were all in the same chat. He got very lucky with the cautions because if we had a long green flag run, I imagine the fresher tires would have had a good advantage, but we just never got the long green flag run we needed.
And of course, one more question for you. Stepping outside of the driver's seat and more into the, I guess, administrative role would be the better option. Team owner, league owner role. Man, it's been a night. I am frazzled.
And that's what it's a clash race. It's practice for everybody.
Oh man, it's still a lot of fun. But of course, walk us through pretty much everything that went into not only bringing everyone into this event, but also the entire league as a whole, especially with the season sponsors and the schedule that's going to be upcoming.
Yeah, this is going to be our 7th season, our 4th time, I think, running the Xfinity car. It's probably a lot of our favorite cars. We build for them in the B Open, so we enjoy them a lot. Um, a lot of these guys we have raced with before. We have probably like 6 or 7 new guys that haven't raced with us before. We're still looking for some drivers, so if anybody's watching and wants to join, you can hit me up. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's 7 seasons, so it's kind of just a routine thing at this point. We have some really good sponsors. Butt Kicker has been with us since season 2. They're an awesome sponsor. They give out end of season prize every season, and it's very awesome that they do that for us. We have On the Throttle, which is kind of like a meme Instagram for NASCAR. He does Twitter and Instagram. It's just like NASCAR news and like memes and just a general NASCAR um, Instagram, social media, and then we have Team Watson Racing setups, which they provide racing setups for pretty much every open series and iRacing. Me and John build for them, and then there's probably like 6 or 7 Team Watson guys in this league. We're not all on the same team within this league, but we all race with each other in Team Watson. So 3 really good sponsors, and then we have some other smaller sponsors that are just sponsoring like single races and some other guys sponsoring races. So it's a good league. 7 seasons. We've been going on drivers this season, so it should be a really good one. Should be putting on some pretty good races.
And of course, if the Clash is anything to go by, oh gosh, the season is going to be even more insane, I feel like, but
Yeah,
in a very
hopefully.
good way.
Yeah, hopefully it's just a little less cautions, but the racing was awesome. There was a lot of good racing, but Five Flags tough track, but it was really good racing. Setup was pretty good. It was a little tough, but that's kind of how we want it to be. We don't want the setup to be complete crap, but we don't want it to be really good where you're just full throttle and it's easy racing. We want to make it a challenge. I thought it was really good racing. Could probably clean up some cautions, but also it's a short track, a clash race, a track a lot of us probably don't race that often. So Daytona should be really fun next week.
And of course, we will see you next week. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations on the third place finish and a absolutely wonderful run for the Clash, especially.
Awesome. Thank you.
So that is Travis Dart, and we're going to be moving on to the second place finisher now, that being Chris Chavez. Is it Chris Chavez Essery or Chris Chavez Essery? I've been saying it both ways throughout the entire night. My brain is just like, I don't know which one to pick.
It's Esther. You got it right.
Essery. So I did have the right idea. My brain is defaulted to Essery, but man, either way, you had a wonderful, wonderful run throughout the night, especially. Well, we're going to start off with, oh gosh, what heat you were in. It's been this long of a night, apparently. But very dominant performance throughout, consistently sitting in the top 5 throughout, especially top 3 when it mattered in the heat race. And then by the end, you decided to pit, and you almost had it. But then, of course, with the last lap being the last lap, you at the end of the night had roughly, I believe, 40 lap older tires than Hunter Karsten, but still enough for a second place finish.
Yeah, the caution before, I believe I had a half a car length lead, and they still put me behind them. So I was frustrated right there. But to be honest, I was lucky to be in that situation after spinning early. I just went in too hot in the 3, I think it was, and lost it early. I thought my race was over right there.
Especially going into the Clash, especially with the heats as well. Did that actually not even that question? We'll go with the tires, of course. I asked Travis the same, relatively the same question of your thought process on when exactly you think the right tires were, the when the new set of tires would be the best option for you to pick.
So I kind of got lucky because when after I spun, I waited till the next caution because I wanted my tires first before the leaders pitted, so it would put me back in the front. And luckily, they pitted the next caution after I took my tires, so I wasn't. And in between there, I just saved. I kind of ran in the back and saved, so I felt like I wasn't going to be at a huge disadvantage.
And of course, that disadvantage did not pay off. So before we go ahead and let you give shout outs to those who get it done for you or just yourself, going into the season next week, of course, as most leagues probably start off with in NASCAR, with NASCAR related leagues, is of course Daytona. So what's your thought process heading into the first race of the season next week now that we got the Clash out of the way?
First race of the season, Daytona. It's just I don't know. Find a group of cars to work with, kind of hang in the back first half of the race, and then really just wait till the end, the last 10 laps to make a move to the front. That's how I always go about it. And yeah, just give a shout out to my brother Philip Chavez. He runs in this league too, and Kyle Carpenter. He gave me my paint for the night. Makes amazing paints.
I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Thanks again for the time to stop by for an interview, and we hope to talk to you again next week.
All right, thank you.
So that is Chris Chavez Essery. And finally, last but not least, we're going to be talking with the one and the only, quite literally the only person to have not even pit once in the. He didn't even enter pit road. How? How? That's pretty much the only question I have. It's just how.
I don't know. I just felt like the tires weren't that bad, but I also kind of wanted to pit, but I just ended up on not doing it and it just worked out.
That is the most amazing description I ever heard. The tires weren't that bad, but I wanted to pit, and there are all of that. You stretch the tires technically 1 to 2 laps past what the main race would have been as well, and it has, of course, as we've seen, wonderfully paid off, especially with the last lap. You nailed the restarts, especially. So I was going to ask this to Corey Moore, but unfortunately, he had fallen out of the top three. But he has been getting the same starts that you were starting to get there near the end of just timing it right and just nailing the throttle. So how much throttle application, especially at a difficult track as this, when it comes to throttle application and where you are on the racetrack, how did you nail those restarts as solidly as you did?
Well, here it just matters a lot of like how aggressively you push the pedal and like just not getting to full throttle like right away. And I think also just being in the lead is just like an automatic jump for their starts. So that also helps. But just not just like having an eggshell under your throttle pedal is really all it is.
You mentioned the jump, and I'll circle back to that in just a couple of moments. Of course, you had a quiet but very consistent run throughout the night, and of course, we've seen how well it has paid off. There was I believe, one restart where you were on the outside. You had jumped the restart, technically speaking. Well, not entirely enough to get a penalty, and you fell back to about what, sixth or seventh, and then you managed to claw your way back up through. And again, realizing that's on the same set of tires, that's just, oh man, what was your thought when you tried to time the restart with Corey?
I thought I was doomed. Like I was just gonna be stuck back there and not being able to pass. It's really hard to pass here, and I thought I was just gonna be stuck the entire time.
Luckily, that did not turn out to be the case in the most positive way. So before we go ahead and let you go, your thoughts on the season starting next week in Daytona. Not only that, but also shouting out those who get it done for you.
I'd like to shout out 24 Speed, 24 Social, and 213 Simware. They've been good partners with me through my sim racing endeavors. They support me a lot. And as for the season, I am not a huge fan of super speedways. So it's going to be interesting to kick it off, but it seems like a really interesting schedule and it should be a lot of fun.
And it's definitely going to be enjoyable. I noticed that there was a Red Bull Ring on the calendar as well.
Oh, I don't
You
have
didn't,
any laps there.
oh boy. Well, what better way to do it than blind, I guess, at least in the practice
Yeah,
session. But I will
yeah.
say, slightly biased, a lot of fun, a very enjoyable track. Haven't driven it in an Xfinity car, but now I might do that now that I think about it. But thanks so much for your time, and we hope to talk to you again next week.
Thank you.
So that was Hunter Karsten, the Clash winner and the car breaker, essentially, with the setup of how it was set up, just flying the car on the rear wheels, doing a quick wheelie. You see the 2135 Simware on the back bumper, helping him get the win done. Of course, no doubt, helping him get some success into the going into the season. Of course, I mentioned Rebel Ring on the calendar. There are a lot of things. No graphic available as of yet, by me at least. However, I will say, going into the rest of this month, we have Daytona next week, Atlanta the week after, the 2008 iteration of Atlanta specifically, and then the oval of Twin Ring Motegi. Correction, Mobility Resort Motegi, as it's named now, apparently. So that is going to be just the first three races of the season officially when it comes to the actual point scoring events. So it's going to be absolutely wild. Then the month of August is Dover, Red Bull Ring, Michigan, then Iowa. It's going to be absolutely incredible to see what will happen going into the season. So thanks everyone so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed as much as I have. My voice is absolutely gone, so I'm gonna rest my voice, and we will see you next week in Daytona for the Full Sim Racing Series, Full Sim Racing Association. Daytona 200. Wow. Try that one more time. Daytona 200, presented by, I believe that is going to be Berserker Industries. I think it's Berserker. I'm trying to read this blind with like 15-point font. But regardless, thank you all so much for tuning in. This has been the Racing Line Network, and we will see you all next week in Daytona.